Hi guys, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to another episode of Happy Chirp. This is actually the last episode of this season. We are now at 150 episodes in Happy Chirp, and honestly, I am surprised that I've made it this far because only I know how I have showed up and made every single podcast happen. I was pregnant when I started on this journey, and then obviously I had the baby, then postpartum, and there were times, I just wanted to give up on doing any of this because it would just be so hard for me. I used to feel, burnt out. I used to feel like I can't manage everything, but I'm so glad despite all the breaks that I had to take for the sake of my mental health and, even physical well-being, I always return to it. And, we've always been independent. I don't have a sponsor on anything, but I still continued and I still came back, and I'm still surprised that I made it to 150 episodes. I'm honestly very grateful to you guys for coming in and tuning in all the time, for having that faith in my platform. And I'm also really grateful to all my guests who came because they took out their valuable time for my small podcast and decided that they have faith in it, decided that it was worth their time and worth sharing their journey on. So I think that for me is something that I feel grateful about. But anyway, today's guest is Manalmuffin. She is a Dubai content creator and influencer. She has always been a beauty influencer. She started a few years ago. And today I wanted to talk to her about that journey, what it's like to navigate as a Pakistani in Dubai through this industry. She had a lot of insights to share around that, and she also started recently taking the hijab, and I thought, being a platform that is about women empowerment, that is a very important topic that we should be discussing here. So without any more delay, here's Manal. Hi Manal, assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
How are you?
I'm good, Hamna. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for coming, making out the time to do this.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
So, Manal, I want to get to know you a little, right? Okay. So, I want to understand what your life was like as a child. Where were you born and raised?
Okay.
A bit about that.
Okay, my name is Manal. For everyone, I'm a content creator based here in Dubai, mainly focusing on beauty. And I moved here. I'm basically from Lahore, Pakistan, and I was born in Lahore, but I moved here when I was 7. So basically, I've grown up here. I have very few memories from Pakistan, and most of my life has been here. So I just know this as home. So it's like the third culture kid vibe, because na udhar ke na idhar ke, I'm just like everywhere. But I still consider UAE to be home because anywhere I go, I feel like coming back here because Dubai is that vibe. So I grew up here, I studied here, lived with my family here the whole time. And it's been amazing living here, I studied so the key factor over here is I've dropped out of uni. I studied until high school, and then a lot of things happened in life which made me drop out of uni. And then I accidentally became a content creator. And that has been like the whole journey, and I'm very grateful. You know how people say everything in life happens for a reason? Like, for example, our podcast kept getting delayed. Kyunki usme koi khair hogi. So it's the same. Everything happens for a reason. And that's how I ended up becoming a content creator, because there were some factors in life that happened which led me to this.
Do you want to talk about any of those factors?
Yeah, of course.
So why did you drop out of university?
Okay, so I had always this dream that I just want to go to uni. For some reason, it was like my biggest passion, and I was so eager to. So as soon as I finished my AS levels, over here you can enter uni as soon as you do AS. So I finished AS, and I'm applying for uni, and I even deposited like the admission fees and whatever, like the first term fees over here in Dubai. And then I had a road accident.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was like a major one.
Oh,
it's so funny because I find it funny. I don't know, maybe it's like my trauma.
Okay.
But I was crossing the road with my mom, and then this car, he didn't see me, and he hit me. And it was like a major injury, like a brain injury.
Okay.
So that led me to the hospital for like 25 days. I was in the ICU, couldn't walk. And the healing took a while. So even though I was out of the hospital in like 21 days because I was still young, this happened like uni days. I should have been in uni. I was 18. So, but then I dropped out. So I couldn't continue because my healing needed a lot of time.
Okay.
I could walk easily in like, let's say, a month because thanks to my mom and my dad, they really like helped me with this. But then the brain healing took a lot of time. So I used to have those, I used to be so cranky. I don't know what happened in my brain, like chemistry fully went upside down. I don't know. So I used to be angry, moody, sometimes emotional, because it was like a trauma in the brain because there was some bleeding.
Okay.
But the doctor said that it was a miracle that I stayed alive because apparently maybe like 99% people don't. They get paralyzed or die.
Yeah.
But alhamdulillah, my brain, there was no clotting that happened. The blood kept flowing and that's how I managed to survive. So yeah, since I dropped out, because I had a lot of free time, all my friends were already in uni, so I was also depressed. I'm like, what am I even doing with my life? I'm so sad. And then I used to follow a lot of content creators like Huda Beauty. Like I absolutely loved her back in 2017. And then there were a few creators from the US that I used to follow religiously. And then I was like, why don't I try doing what they do? And then I just literally took my iPhone, created a very basic tutorial like a teenage girl would, using my phone window, like natural sunlight, and I uploaded it, not thinking of anything. And obviously my parents...
Uploaded this on Instagram?
Yes, okay. I uploaded. Back then that was like the main platform.
Yeah.
And it went viral, kind of, because I had like 600 followers and then that video hit like 16,000, 18,000 views. I was so shocked. I'm like, why are people even watching this? But everyone appreciated me. My family supported me a lot because my parents were like, do whatever you want. It's fine as long as it's in like our values and it's within limits. So that's how my journey of like content creation began. And that's how, so eventually I started doing it so like regularly and I was so consistent that the uni part kind of just like faded and I'm like, this became a career. So I'm like, you know what, the main reason we go to uni is to earn and and I think I was doing so well in my content creation that I just totally forgot about university. And all my friends are basically, some of them are still jobless. So, I'm like, was uni even worth it? So alhamdulillah, I'm very glad that whatever happened for a reason.
Yeah. Okay. So content creation kind of happened, accidentally, quite literally. But what was it that you wanted to be before?
Okay. When I was young, I didn't really have like a big aspirational like mind. I wasn't career oriented or anything. I didn't really have. But at one point I was like, I want to be a dentist. But literally as soon as I finished AS, I'm like, I hate science. So we're not doing dentistry at all. But after dentistry, I think I thought media, because I applied for media in university. So anything to do with public relations, media, publications. I love writing, like English language, I really love it. So I wanted to do something like magazine editor or something like that. So these were like my options that I had in mind. And I think accidentally, like being an influencer content creator is kind of like that, marketing, and you do the magazine stuff too. So I'm like, I feel like I ended up going in the career that I actually liked.
Yeah, it is media. It is mass communication and media. And it's digital media.
Digital marketing.
Yeah. Makes sense. Okay, and what about your family? So, when you started doing content creation, what was generally their view? And what about your friends?
My family, alhamdulillah, I'm so blessed. Both my parents, and I have only one brother, elder, they've always been supportive. They never really stopped me from anything. Because I think my mom and my dad, they've always created that friendly relationship in our family since childhood that I never felt the need to hide something from them. And they always so I never felt scared to tell them what I want to do. And I didn't even think there was anything wrong in this because before being an influencer, I was kind of like a model too. People used to use me to do their makeup looks. So I think that's where the makeup love began too. So my mom and my dad, they were like, yeah, just go for it. I mean, they didn't even understand what it was back in 2017 because not a lot of people were doing it. But they were like, I mean, just go for it. They didn't understand. But eventually, when I started growing, and my mom, especially my mom, she would get so excited for every single video, and literally she was kind of like my manager. She would tell everyone, go follow my daughter. And even my dad, he would see some of my followers, they would go meet my dad, and he'd be so happy. So I feel like family was amazing. Friends, some were a bit weird, like kind of in a way, I would say they were kind of jealous, but they didn't want to say it. So, I feel like a lot of friends just like repelled, which is good. You kind of filter, as you succeed, it kind of gets filtered. But the good ones stayed, and the supportive ones are still here with me. So I'm glad.
Yeah, and I think this is for people who started really early, got into content creation. This is a theme for everyone.
Yeah.
Because when they got into it, there was a lot of judgment also, like, what are you doing? Like, what is this? Why are you talking to the camera? Or like, who do you think you are, kind of, right? But then you also kind of get successful in it. So it's just like, oh, it's working and it's nice. So,
and then they'll ask you for tips and be like, can you give us a shout out? And I'm like, no. That's weird.
And, at first you don't support me and judge me. And, now that everybody is doing it and it's a successful thing. Yeah. I think a lot of us have experienced and faced that, and now it's become such a normal thing.
Exactly. Everyone's doing it.
Everyone's a content creator, everyone's an influencer, and if they don't even have it as a career, everybody has a personal brand now. So for example, if you're like a lawyer or a dentist or a doctor or whatever, like people are promoting themselves to build that clientele and to show off or showcase their personal brand. So it's a part of everyone's life now.
Yeah, it's like the new way of marketing, like the new newspaper or the new TV commercial, but this is like more personal touch to it.
Yeah.
So I think it's perfect. I really love it. Sorry.
Okay, so how has do you think, how has this industry sort of evolved over the years since 2017 up until now? How do you think the industry has changed beyond the fact that we just discussed that everybody is doing it now?
Yeah.
What else do you think has happened?
I feel like it's become very saturated, like because everyone's doing it, so it's a bit hard to stand out in a way, because also because I do beauty content. Everyone's favorite content to do is beauty, like makeup and skincare tutorials and stuff like that. So what I've noticed since 2017, it was really easy to go viral that time. Whatever you do, even though it has to be like something unique about you, it was still much easier. And Instagram was amazing back then. I love Instagram from that time.
I feel you, girl.
The algorithm, everything.
Yeah, I mean, the platform, it's gone to shit.
It's a bit crazy.
Yeah.
So I think that for sure. But then also I used to get a lot of shout outs from Huda Beauty, the queen of makeup herself. And every time she would shout me out, I would literally gain 10,000 real followers, active ones, which was amazing. And now if anyone like as big as her gives me a shout out, it doesn't really matter. Yeah. No one follows you. So I feel like a lot of saturation has happened. The platform has changed a lot. But now brands also tend to pay you because they understand your value. Back then they would be like, take this product, give us a review, that's it. And even we didn't understand our value, so we'd do it.
Yeah.
But now it's like a proper career. And with platforms like TikTok, honestly, I love TikTok. Even though Instagram is like my favorite platform because that's where I grew, I feel like TikTok is also really good for growth. So it's like, you have to, now it's like you have to focus on every single platform to grow, do different things, and you need to find that factor about you that will help you stand out and have a connection with your followers. You have to keeping up with trends. Back then you could do whatever and people will still watch. Now it's like new trend every single day. So things like that.
Yeah, it's become really fast and it's become really, again, like, I think what you tried to say was that it's hard to get discovered.
Yeah,
and now because
from new followers.
And Because it's like, oh, people are just going through the Reels tab and they don't really care who's there, who's not. And maybe they're liking that post.
But they don't follow you.
They don't follow you. So that sense of community that existed on Instagram before, we've lost that now.
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah.
I mean, the followers that I already have, they're still like family. Yeah. But the new ones, it's just not the same.
Because for them, you're just like anybody else now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because there's just so many.
Right.
Yeah. Right. And you know, like obviously they haven't followed you from back then. Yes. They don't know the journey. So it's like, you know, it's definitely not the same. Yeah.
And everyone's attention span has gone down, including myself, by the way, by like so much. So no one's interested to watch your longer videos. Yeah. Like vlogs on YouTube don't do well or anything like that. Everyone wants like quick 15-second move. Sometimes 15 seconds is too long for them too. So it's like
but that's what makes everything so sort of fast and sort of like it lacks true substance, right?
Yeah.
And that's why that connection between an influencer and their follower doesn't exist anymore because there's no depth. It's like very surface level.
Yes.
Yeah. So
unless you're adding like so much value to the audience's like life, it's very difficult to, you know, connect with them. So now my main focus has always been like this, to teach them something. And until now I try to do that. You know, I just don't want to follow every single trend that's happening. The only reason people have been following me is because I have taught them. So that's kind of adding value to their life. And I think if we continue to do that, the right ones will follow and it should do well in the long run. Now I don't even care about numbers.
I think nobody does at this point because it's so random now. Like who has big numbers and who has small numbers, it just doesn't matter anymore.
The engagement and the community feeling and like the connection, that's what I feel is the most important
thing. And I think if anybody at this point is chasing numbers, it's really not going to do anything in the long run. So it's fine if you don't grow but like that fast. But as long as you're growing in a way that you are continuing to create a connection with every person that comes in, right? And that means it's going to be slow.
Exactly.
But that's something that you kind of have to accept. Exactly. Okay, you know, I believe in value-driven content. I believe in authenticity. That's the most important thing.
For sure.
It's more important than numbers. Yeah. And I feel like it's very difficult. I mean, it's a gold mine if you can find a space between the two where you can, you know, be like, you know, have your numbers go like that and remain authentic.
Exactly.
But it's not that easy. Like, because anything that has depth, anything that has value, everything that has like substance is going to take time. Yeah, it's not going to happen overnight. Yeah. Okay, so I also want to ask you, why beauty?
I honestly, since a young age, I used to think maybe I wasn't into like beauty like other girls are, you know, makeup and stuff. But then I realized I was actually such a girly girl. I used to love it since childhood. I used to like this was back in Pakistan, so me and my aunts, they were young. My aunts are very young, so we would stand in front of a mirror and do like a fashion show and things like that. I would wear my mom's dupatta and act like it's a sari, do a catwalk, and then whatever makeup my mom had, I would, you know, put it on. And even when I moved here, when I got like good grades, my mom gifted me a lipstick. So, you know, it was things like this. So I've always been into it. But then I became a model for like a face model for makeup artists, and they used to use me as a canvas. And I started loving it. I'm like, wow, this is so good. My face transforms. And when they would do it, I would learn what they're doing. So that really got me into it. I'm like, and I would ask them like, what are you doing? What's this? So I learned, I picked up a lot. And then I was following all these creators on Instagram and YouTube. I used to love all these LA creators on YouTube. I would watch their YouTube videos all the time, like Jaclyn Hill and all those people.
Yeah.
And then I attended a masterclass by Huda Beauty.
Okay.
This happened in 2016, end of 2016. And this masterclass basically changed my life because I learned so much from like the queen herself. I loved it. And we got a big goodie bag, which was like, the worth was around like $5,000. I'm not even kidding.
So there was lots of makeup in there.
So much makeup, things like that I've never seen in my life. And those were the products that I used in my first video as well. So I think that's how it just ended up, you know, because I really liked makeup. And then so with every tutorial I was getting better at it, because I would learn and post. So I didn't care, I wasn't into perfection. Like I would see like all these girls doing beautiful looks, and I didn't even know how to apply false lashes. But I think that was one of the main reasons I grew. I didn't care about perfection, I just posted. I didn't care. Like even I used to get comments also, like a few, like what is she doing kind of, but I was just posting.
Yeah.
And that ended up, my makeup kept getting cleaner and smoother, and I kept learning.
Yeah, so I think that's also authenticity,
Yeah.
right? Like whatever you are at that point, you were showing up as that.
Exactly.
Like you're not perfect, and that contributes to your journey,
Yes.
like your growth.
Yeah.
And when people are watching that, they obviously have a connection.
Exactly.
Right? If you're perfect from the start, the connection isn't there,
Right.
Connection is always built over authenticity. Over something that's raw and real. So it makes sense that you have a very authentic vibe, and you have a very close-knit community with
Yes.
your followers.
And I think I had this in mind when I was posting. I would always show up in the beginning of my video like looking super crusty, no makeup, my hair is a mess, and by the end of the video I've completely transformed, and people really loved it. They would be like, oh my god, I look like this, exactly like this at home, so they connected with that.
Yeah, so there's relatability
Right.
there. Yeah, and also like the reason I feel that beauty really works and the transformation really works, because there's a hint or tinge of like storytelling in there.
Yeah.
So how like from this to this, and how that transformation happens,
the steps in between.
Yeah, the steps in between, the start, the end. And I think any form of storytelling people love
it.
Yeah,
for sure.
so it has that element into it. So that's why beauty content, it's always been there.
For sure. Yeah.
Like you can't take it out of this space, and it like reigns supreme. People love beauty content. You can have so many beauty content creators, and they just keep coming.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think it has contributed to the evolution of makeup so much.
For sure.
So I think for the longest time makeup was just the same.
Yeah.
And then came in beauty content, and then it just kind of
kept changing. Like evolution every time. Like back in 2017, the eyebrows were the trend, the highlight, the blinding highlight. And then eventually, now it's just like glass skin and glossy. But I love it. I feel like every girl loves makeup, and I think makeup is like really amazing. Like it's such an amazing tool to enhance your natural features, and I'm such a fan. I honestly love makeup. I don't know how some people can't like makeup, because I personally love it.
Yeah. And growing up, what do you think, like did you, and I'm not just when I say beauty, I don't mean makeup. So I want to understand what your relationship with beauty has always been like. What did you consider beautiful? Was beauty something that, for some people, beauty can be a very sensitive, touchy topic, especially growing up, with beauty standards and everything. So how was your relationship with beauty always, and how is it now?
I feel like when we were younger, especially coming from Desi background, you know how it is with the different standards that they've set. I always faced one thing, which was for my curly hair. I have like super curly hair. I had. So I used to hate it, because everyone since childhood kind of made fun of it in a way, called it different names, and that subconsciously made me realize maybe this hair is not nice. So they would give me nicknames and whatever. And then eventually when I grew up and reached the teenage age, I would beg my mom, please, I want to permanently straighten my hair. She'd be like, you have beautiful... My mom was the biggest reason I didn't do any of this. But those other relatives who are just like giving you names for no reason. So my mom was like, no, you have beautiful hair, you're not touching them. And I used to be like, why wouldn't she let me? I wanted a keratin treatment, which wasn't even so advanced back then. It would end up make me like lose all my hair. But then I was still a rebel kind of, so I would just straighten my hair all the time. And back then I didn't even have a straightener, and I feel like some Desi girls can relate. I would put my hair on like the istri strand and put real istri on my hair. Oh my god, because I was obsessed with having straight hair, because I felt that's the beauty standard. And in my head I didn't even know these words. I was so young, because I thought having straight hair means you're like more beautiful and stuff. But then that lasted for a very long time. until 2020, I got my hair finally straightened the way I wanted. And then I realized, what am I doing? What is this? And then I realized that this is kind of like subconsciously instilled into my head that you need to have straight hair to look pretty or civilized or whatever it is. But then eventually I stopped. Now I have, alhamdulillah, like my hair, it's not curly anymore because of this excessive heat. Throughout those years I've lost my curls, completely heat damaged. But now I've stopped using heat and I just love my hair the way it is. It's wavy now, but we're good.
You're good. Yeah. You've accepted.
I've accepted it. Like, you know, beauty is not just what we see on magazines or TV or movies, whatever. You are built the way, you know what? Like, Allah always makes you perfect. It's just we have those things in our mind like, oh, I should get a nose job or I should do this. This is because of the beauty standards. And I think, you know, we're all really beautiful in our unique ways. Like, I had curly hair because it suited me that way. You know, I was meant for it. But then, you know, we as humans, we're just never happy. And then all these beauty standards subconsciously train us not to love ourselves. But eventually, you know, I've reached that point where I'm like, you know what? It's nice. My hair is beautiful. Yeah.
Okay, that's nice.
Yeah,
I think everybody has something, some kind of insecurity.
For sure.
Yeah.
And it's always because of the people around you. Because you personally, I've noticed, like, children are very confident. But it's our, like, people around us, or sometimes some parents themselves, they make them hate themselves. Like, I literally know mothers who call their daughters like Kali.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's your daughter. What is she learning? Like, she's learning to hate herself, you know?
And especially if it's coming from a parent.
Exactly. They'll be like, "Mood ho panch bar." Literally, I've seen it. I'm like, what does that even mean? You know, things like that.
Yeah.
But I feel like with mothers like us, if whenever we can change this narrative, we can make our daughters or sons even like be confident in themselves. So if we make them that way, they're not gonna take the other people's opinion, and they'll be like, I know I look good. Like, what are you even saying? Yeah.
So you said that you moved to Dubai when you were 7.
Yeah.
It's basically like when you started understanding anything, life.
Yeah.
You moved here. So what do you feel like? Do you feel any connection to Pakistan at all?
Actually, no, I don't have good memories, actually. Even though the age before 7 is like that, you know, we were very young. You don't really remember.
Yeah.
But I still have memories because my dad has always been living here in Dubai. So I was with an absent parent vibe, you know. So I always missed my father. That was my childhood from 1 to 6 or 0 to 6. So I don't have any good memories from that time because I was really close to my dad because when I was born, my dad was there. So he stayed in Pakistan for 1 year and then he got a job and he came. So I do not miss Pakistan because I feel like Pakistan, no dad, I don't like it. So my only dream was to be connected and be with my dad. And eventually, when I was 7, it happened. And I'm very happy that this happened because, you know, I just, it wasn't a nice period living alone without your dad. It's just your mom, you know, it's different.
Yeah, it's incomplete.
Exactly.
Yeah, I understand.
And I feel like children actually take a lot of effect and it really affects them. Things like these, like when they see all the chachu and everyone doing their own thing, taking their other children out, and you're like, where is my dad? You know, you have those questions. So I think I was a very sensitive child in that aspect, and it really affected me.
Okay. And did you ever go back? Do you go back often? Okay.
Yeah, we do because we have family.
Okay.
I don't have grandparents who are alive, but I have like my mother's family and my dad's family back home. So we do visit every now and then, but it's not so often because everyone has their own life.
Yeah,
it's not.
of course,
But we do. I recently went like 2 years ago. It was so much fun. The weather, Lahore weather, like this winter was so good. I loved it.
Yeah, it's quite cold there in the winters. Yeah,
it was like 6-7 degrees. I loved it so much.
Yeah, which you don't get to have here.
No.
Yeah. All right. So, so a year ago you started doing the hijab.
Yeah.
And I think that's such a big change, and obviously I personally think that's such a significant theme in your life.
For sure.
So I want to explore that with you. Why did you decide to do it, and how has that journey been so far?
So I always had this in mind. First of all, growing up here, you do see a lot of women always covering up in abayas, and like in school, you have teachers and other children. Like, because I used to go to international school, so you see Arab children, and a lot of girls used to wear hijab since like young age. So I always had that, and then eventually my mom also started wearing it, so I would see it all around me. And maybe in my head I always thought maybe I should start. So I had kept like a timeline in my head. Oh, I'll do it after I get married, or I'll do it after I do something, like, you know, things like that. But then last year, beginning of 2023, I went for Umrah. That was my first ever Umrah visit. And oh my God, it changed my whole life, I feel, because that was like the most spiritual journey I felt, you know. I never felt this kind of a connection with my faith, even though like I would say I was practicing, but the moment you see Kaaba for the first time, it's like, whoa, you know. So I had that moment, and obviously during Umrah, you keep your hijab on the whole time, Medina, Makkah. I just didn't feel like taking it off afterwards. I'm like, I don't feel like taking it off. And while I was in Mecca, I was already archiving my old posts. You know, I felt like, you know, you kind of feel disconnected to this world. You feel everything's so temporary. Like, why are we even here? What's this race? Things like that. Yeah. So I was feeling all those emotions. And every time I would go back to my hotel at night, I would archive all my old posts. I'm like, what's the point? You know, why is everyone looking at me? I don't like it. So eventually I came back. I didn't take it off. And I feel like it was a significant change, because in my heart a little bit I was a bit scared, because, you know, doing beauty content, how am I going to manage this? But then I kept praying. During my Umrah, I was praying that, you know, I'm trying to make a change for Allah, of course. So obviously He has His own plans, and He'll help me through this. So I think that kind of helped me. And it's been going great. But obviously a lot of people don't talk about this, but it comes in waves. So at the time I was in Makkah, my faith was at its highest. But eventually when you come back to your normal routine, it kind of goes low. So I had that phase too. I felt like taking it off afterwards. And I felt like such a hypocrite, like, what's happening? And during that period, I was really off Instagram, because I didn't know what to do. And a lot of people were not really, like, audience kind of gets very critical of you. Like, they're like, your one strand is showing, you know, like, they get really, it's like you're put under a microscope now. Everyone's looking at every single action you do. If you have long nails with nail paint on, oh, you're wearing hijab and you're doing this. So these things were kind of, I was like, without hijab, I never had these issues. What's happening? Might as well take it off. But then I talked to a lot of close people. Like, I would speak to my mom, I want to take it off. I can't do it. She's like, my mom never forced me into anything, but then she was like, think about it. So I spoke to a lot of people, and then eventually I was like praying further. I was like, to like Allah, like, please help me. I don't know what's happening. I want to take it off because it's getting so hard. But then recently, this literally my mind switched again after seeing the Palestinian women. Yeah, I'm like, bro, like, look at them. They're dying every single day, and they don't take off their hijabs, and like, they're sleeping with their hijab on because they don't want to die and anyone else sees their hair. I was like, my problem is nothing compared to them. Like, I don't even have a problem. It's just my followers or audience nitpicking. It doesn't even matter. At the end of the day, my intention is to please Allah. I don't care about other people's responses or opinions, their advice. And then I made peace. And now I finally like embraced it completely. And that's why I started going on interviews and posting more regularly. Because in this period, I was like, I don't even know if I should continue posting. Should I? And this is funny, no one knows this. I made a 4-minute video talking about why I'm taking off the hijab. I made that video without the hijab on, and I was just giving reasons. Hey guys, so I'm just taking off my hijab. I couldn't do it anymore, blah, blah, blah. But I never posted it, thank God, because I continued and I was stuck. I made my decision that, you know, this is it. So I feel like it comes in waves, and it's sometimes it gets hard to like stick through. And I remember my followers, when I started wearing hijab, they were like, may Allah keep you steadfast on your decision. And I was like, why are they saying this? But now I understand. You kind of feel like getting off of your path. But now it's good.
Okay, so can you tell me what are the reasons that makes one want to take it off?
It can be a lot. Okay. First of all, we live in a Muslim country, so this is fine. It's very easy for me to, make this change because everyone around you celebrates when you wear the hijab, which is a blessing. And maybe in a European country, people are going to look at you like, what's happening? Although I had like a European coach who was kind of weird about it, like, why are you forced? Like a lot of people asked me this, are you getting forced to do it? I was like, no. But these were obviously like people who have that
they
impression.
have these assumptions. Yeah.
So I obviously like tried to make them understand that it's my own personal decision. But so yeah, if you're in a European country or a non-Muslim country, or people around you are not really supportive of it, they're gonna kind of give you those doubts, like, are you forced? Why are you doing this? Blah, blah, blah. Sometimes your own family members can be also like that. Other than that, I feel the other reason that made me want to take it off was my audience. Like, they were really critical of me. Like, I was like, why are they being this way? Like, before, when I was not wearing the hijab, I was so fashionable. I was like, okay, obviously I would always wear modest clothing, but they never really were judgmental.
They
like
weren't judgmental,
the way they are now. So that really pushed me away. I was like, I can't do this. If this is how hijab is gonna be, maybe I should just take it off and be back to what it was. But then I was like, no, it's like, am I trying to please them or Allah, the main reason why you do it? And then I also used to read the translation of where hijab is mentioned in the Quran and stuff like that. And then it just made me realize, it's just not worth it. So I think that also plays a factor. When people around you are being so negative and judgmental, they talk about like, so they expect if you started wearing hijab now, you have to be perfect. You have to like display Islam in the most perfect way. Otherwise, you're just doing everything wrong. And I was like, this is not how it is. It's a journey. I understand you guys are comparing this to the 1400 years ago, but we live in this society where like it's so tough to manage and be on the right path. So give everyone grace, like, please, don't be extreme. So I think that's one of the main reasons people tend to take it off, the judgmental comments.
Yeah, and I think, and that's insane because they think that, so it just discourages the other person.
Exactly.
It does the complete opposite of what these people are trying to achieve, right? Like them being responsible for someone having to take their hijab off, that's just wrong.
Right.
Like,
and if you do it because of them, they'll be like, you had such weak faith. Like, you guys, you were adding the negativity, so you were playing into it, so you do end up getting the bad deeds on behalf of other persons. So why? And Islam teaches us kindness more than anything else. So if you don't have good things to say, so you shouldn't just say anything. But they don't understand that.
Yeah. And do you think that if you weren't a public figure, this would have been easier for you?
Way easier, trust me. I used to say this to all when I was contemplating, I wanted to take it off. I was like, I wish I wasn't a public figure. This would have been so much easier. No one would have, like, because friends around me are hijabis already. Places I go to are, it's just easier. But like, even the gym that I go to, because in the beginning I used to go to a mixed gym, so I was like, how is it gonna be? Because how am I gonna work out with men and stuff? So there is obviously options. There is a ladies only gym and stuff like that. But even if I had male coaches, everyone was so supportive. But it's just that your audience, they get very critical and judgmental. I think that was the main reason that really was pushing me away.
I also want to understand that taking the hijab, what does that mean? What does hijab mean? Right? And if one starts doing the hijab, how does that affect other areas of your life? So for example, if in the way that you interact with some male people in your life, right? Once you start taking that hijab, what does that do to that?
Okay. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
I feel everyone has their own kind of definition of what hijab exactly is. But me personally, I obviously did some research, but mainly it is one of the commands it's written in the Quran, and it's like literally it's mentioned like in one of the verse. So the reason people wear it is because it's like a command from Allah. Like the things He asked us to do, you follow it. If you don't, like, you know, so I just went for it. I was like, you know, it's a command, so why are we just not doing it? And the one other reason that kind of led me to it was when you die as a female, you're covered more than a male is. You have like more coverage, right? So I was like, obviously, and then obviously when we pray, we're completely covered from head to toe. So I made a decision, like, I should wear clothes that wherever I am, in those clothes, I'm able to pray. Because, you know, my head is covered. So when we're doing the salah, that's what I mean. So that kind of led me to it, because it's a command from Allah and you can't just, you know, keep avoiding it because you might die anytime. Like, then what? You know, then you don't want to regret. Jab pehli baar mar rahe hain, that's when you're covering yourself for the first time. So that's the main reason I went for it. And then after Umrah, like I said, I was more spiritual, so I really felt that connection with the hijab. The way your life kind of transforms is, I don't know how it is, like if you're working in a corporate area or stuff like that, but for me it was a bit difficult because of the industry I'm in. It's creators, so much glamour, and I'm in Dubai, so the area that I like, for example, I go to events a lot, so I get invited to events and it's beauty events. And over there, every single girl looks gorgeous with her hair done and makeup done and like wearing beautiful outfits. So in the first few months of me starting the hijab, I used to feel like I'm missing out, you know, because I used to go to these events with my fully hair done and stuff. And then I used to feel like, you know, I just didn't feel beautiful for a while because for some reason I just felt my hair out just looks way better, you know. So I was also like going through that phase. But eventually, like I said, I made peace with it. Like, why am I just like going away from what I was supposed to do? And then male figures, I mean, not really. I didn't feel a big difference. Okay. Yeah, like I like hugging them. No, I don't anyway. Like no hugs anyway with strangers. And I feel like I don't really interact with a lot of men in general because of my work. The thing I do is like beauty. I don't really have male around me. But like, let's say gym, for example, that's the only place where I have male interaction, and it was chill. It was like okay, you know. But I feel like you do receive more respect from men compared to when you're not. Where over here, especially like Arab men and like in this culture, I feel like as soon as they see you with the hijab, like they're very more respectful of you. They're like giving you more way. They don't enter the elevator before you. Like they let you go and things like that. And I noticed like a major difference in the respect from men instead of like more judgmental. No, they weren't judgmental like most women are, but men were like, it was a nice experience. Like I feel like people take you more seriously in a way over here. Yeah,
and I think it's actually kind of like more empowering.
I felt that too. By the way, the first time I started like completely going out with hijab and stuff, I felt so confident. I don't know what it was, like there was a sudden confidence in me, like there was some sort of a boost. I was like, what's happening? But I liked it. Yeah.
And did you also find it hard to get rid of all your content from all of these years? Because I think that's a very tough thing to do.
It was,
because you know that's your portfolio, that's your entire career.
Exactly.
That's, you know, so
I had that moment. Like I said, while I was in Makkah, I was archiving every single post. Oh my god, there was a video I had on Facebook with 16 million views. And I had to delete it, not even archive, because on Facebook there wasn't really an option of archive. So that 15 million view video like hurt. But then I was like, you know what, it's fine, it's not worth it, because also these videos have music, and then I'm beautifying myself so much. I was like, you know what, it's just forget about it.
I think you felt disconnected from that person anyway. Because you had changed internally. So you don't even kind of identify as that person anymore.
So, but like I said, my iman was really high back in Umrah time, and as I started coming back to normal life, now I was like, oh no, you know, what have I done? How am I gonna get campaigns? How will brands see me? Like, what have I done? So I brought back a few videos, not because of I was missing them, but because I thought, you know, brands should be able to see the work that I've done in the past. But then it also, my followers really, they attacked me so much. They will be like, oh, your videos are back now, soon your hijab will be off. And I was like, bro, don't do this. Like, I'm already struggling.
It's a journey. I feel, okay, I don't know, like, again, sorry if this offends anyone. Like, I mean, I don't know what the exact Islamic ruling would be on this, but I just want to ask, like, so it's a journey, right? So at one point, like, you're not taking the hijab, and then you decide to take it, and some people decide to ease into it. Okay, they start taking slowly. Acha, you know, bahar nikle kabhi karna shuru kar diya, kabhi kisi ke samne kiya, slowly, right? And then they eventually make that decision. Like, some people do it cold turkey, and some people like ease into it, right? So I want to understand, is it actually absolutely necessary to erase that journey, right? Because now you're doing it. Because I've seen people, like,
who
especially
don't.
Like, there are people, like, especially reverts, right? So what they do is, they have that journey there, and then they convert, and then they start taking the hijab. And all of that is there. So I mean,
I feel like this is a bit personal. I feel me personally, I didn't feel comfortable. I was like, people will then know how she looks like without hijab, number one. And number two, I was like, this is also the factor of death, kind of, you know, when you die, all your, obviously things that are not in your control, like for example my pictures that are in other people's videos or my interviews and stuff, I can't do anything. I can't ask everyone to delete this, but whatever was in my control, I wanted to kind of get rid of it. Be like, you know, no one really has the access to see me without hijab unless it's my husband, brother, father, you know. So that's why I was like, you know what, it's just not worth it. Although it hurt a lot to archive every single, like, your success, your achievements.
I can't imagine.
It was
so
difficult.
Hard.
But I know a lot of girls who don't. And I think, like I said, it's a personal preference, in my opinion.
I think, I mean, I don't know, but I think it's a journey, and I think it's okay. And maybe eventually at some point, they don't feel comfortable, and they can later, like, remove it. And I've also seen, like, I feel like hijab is actually a very personal thing. So it's about, like, because I've seen some people who, for example, in their, a lot of the times, like, mostly they will take the hijab. Pretty much always, except maybe when it's a shadi or like it's an event. So it's very confusing. Like, is that okay? Is that not okay? Where I just feel like, again, it's a very personal thing. Maybe it is okay. Maybe it's not okay. I don't know. So I think it also really depends on, like, everyone's intention behind why they're taking it in the first place.
Like, this reminds me, one of my friends told me this, and it just hit in my mind. I was like, that's so true. Like, you wearing the hijab, or you praying, or you doing your duties that Allah has asked you to personally, it's on you. Like, you are going to be answerable to God for this, like, in your grave. This should not affect the next person. Like, agar main pehen rahi hu ya nahi, it really shouldn't matter to another person. Okay, if you're really worried about me, you can come and guide me nicer, like a kind person should, because that's what our Prophet taught us. Kindness is, like, the most important thing. You can't be, like, judgmental and be like, oh, tum jahannam mein jane wali ho because your one hair is showing. That's impossible. You can't say like that.
Pehle main jahannam mein nahi ja rahi thi. That's the funny part, right? Nobody, like, when you weren't covering, nobody would come and say कि तुम्हारे सारे बाल नजर आ रहे हैं, तुम जहन्नुम में जाओगे. लेकिन जब तुम हिजाबी और तुम्हारा एक बाल नजर आ,
girl, it's like, why? Like, you make,
there's no logic there.
No, you're just being extremist, and extremism is just not good in any factor.
No.
So my friend, I spoke to her, and she was like, you know, these things are just, like, for you, and you're answerable to God, like your prayers, your hijab, whatever, your fasting. But what affects others is your behavior. How are you treating other people? This is how they're gonna remember you. So always remember, like, just because you're covering yourself, blah blah blah, it doesn't make you better than anyone else. The way you treat them, the way you talk to them, make them feel, this is what's more important. And this is how most non-Muslims revert to Islam, because of our behaviors, like our hospitality, what our religion teaches us. Imagine we go and tell them, like, you drink or you have tattoos, you're going to hell. They're going to be like, this religion is scary. But the only way they are invited into Islam is, they always, I know people who have reverted, and they're like, we fell in love with the way you guys treat, like, non-Muslims or people in general. So that's what's most important, and I believe every Muslim should learn that, you know, instead of like judging everyone, being so harsh, like try to better yourself and be a kind human in general, and that's how you'll actually invite more people to the right path.
Yeah, I also read a hadith in which, you know, the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said that even though he was the main preacher of the religion, he said that preaching is not something you should be doing all the time. And he didn't choose to do it all the time. He said you have to pick and choose and see when's a good time to talk to this person and say this thing. He said because if you're going to preach all the time, you're just going to push them away even more.
For sure,
right? So even when you're teaching your kids, if you're going to correct them all the time, they're just going to move further away from whatever you're trying to teach them. Yeah. So it's not like you can't do it in this judgmental way or pick on people and, you know, tell them how they should be living their life, especially in things that are so personal.
For sure.
Like if it's something that affects the next person in any way, then it's something that, you know, you have to take a, you know, hard look at yourself. Like, you know, it's affecting other people. But the hijab, it's between you and God. Your namaz, it's between you and God. Your roza, all of these things.
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, it's just I just wish we were more accepting.
And empathy goes like a long way. You don't understand what people are going through. So just have like, I remember one of my follower, she would constantly send me hate because I was actually going through that phase when I was like contemplating. So I wouldn't really wear the hijab properly, proper, like cover fully. So she would be like, now soon one hair is showing and now this, now neck and this is, and I was like, why would you say this? Like, this is kind of demotivating. Instead, you could be nice and kind and not be this harsh. And like our religion teaches us to be, if you want to advise someone, you have to advise privately, kindly, with wisdom, and, you know, like you said, not all the time be like, oh, you know. But
there's a way to do it.
At the end of the day, I feel like the more you struggle in a way, like the more your reward is higher. So every time I would struggle or have that phase where I'm like, you know, like good things, like in Islam in general, a believer is tested. So I felt these as to be my tests, and I was like, inshallah, I'm getting rewarded for this.
I'm sure you are. I'm sure you will, because what you've done, it's like, it's such a big thing, and especially being a public figure, your struggle was higher, and obviously Allah Ta'ala sees that.
I hope,
and in the same things that you were probably fearful of losing, He's going to reward you.
A lot of good. I mean, honestly, I shouldn't be like so remembering all the bad things. There were like thousands of girls who were so motivating. Like they would motivate me. They would say, you know, when you leave something for Allah, He rewards you with something better. So those things really, you know, helped me as well. So yeah, that's true. We all have those moments, but alhamdulillah.
And it's been a year.
It's been a year.
Yeah, so I mean, that's amazing, mashallah.
So fast. I can't believe it. I mean, now I can't, and this is a funny thing, you can't, once you start wearing it, it's kind of impossible to leave the house without it. Like I actually, see, when I was going through that phase, I tried to leave the house and be like, you know what, I'll go out and see how it feels. I couldn't.
It pulls you back itself.
I couldn't. I was like, no, what am I doing? You know, like Allah is still watching, right? Who am I even trying to deceive? But you just can't. Like even when I leave my house just to go get something from my car, I have to put on a hijab and leave. So yeah, it's...
Yeah, I think it quickly becomes
a part of you,
your identity. And how do you think that, you know, so obviously you have changed inside and then you wore it, but then how did wearing it change you from the inside?
Wearing it made me more modest than I already was. I mean, back then, like, okay, my clothing was modest, but I would feel now it's just more modest. I got rid of like thousands of clothes, which were just not giving anymore, you know. At that time, so this is one thing. From outside, I felt that as soon as I wore my hijab, I completely changed my full wardrobe and style. And then, because kind of you're representing Islam, because now everyone knows this girl is wearing hijab, she has to be a Muslim. That adds like a bit of a responsibility on you. So you want to make sure your actions match, right? So I try to be even nicer. I've tried to be nice to people anyway, but especially if it's a non-Muslim, I try to be, more, so that it shows how Islam is. This is my religion, and this is how we people are. So I try to be like, I represent Islam more nicely as much as I can. I talk about it to people. I think, and just modesty in general, like hijab is like a whole thing, right? Not just a piece of cloth on you. Try to be regular in my prayers. Sometimes I would end up missing, but now it's like my focus. Like, I don't want to miss my prayers. Things like that. So modesty overall in everything.
Okay. And last question related to hijab is that, do you think that people started perceiving you differently and treating you differently?
Like, a few non-Muslims had weird reactions when I first started. They were like, were you forced into it? Are you getting married? Because some people thought if you get married, you're...
No, but like, I mean, like, so for example, if you would meet someone for the first time and you weren't wearing a hijab, so they would be different as compared to now, because now you wear the hijab. So when you meet them for the first time, do you think it's different?
No, I think it's completely the same.
Okay.
Like, I think the main reason that plays into it is because I already live in a Muslim country.
Right. Like,
So maybe if I was in a European country, it might be different. But I feel like, no, it's completely the same. Actually, like I said, with men, I feel they're more respectful towards you. And they don't try to like flirt or anything. They're just, there is a barrier, which I like, because I don't want anyone like that,
And what about like friends? So, ऐसा होता है ना कभी कभार के you make a decision like this, so then people are kind of like, ये तो बहुत चेंज हो गई है, हम इसके सामने शायद ये नहीं कर सकते, वो नहीं कर सकते. Like, sometimes people do that.
True.
Did you feel like that?
Actually, I don't think so, because most of my close friends that I have, they're already hijabis, the girls, and they actually kind of helped me into, like, because I was talking to one of my friends, I was like, I want to get married, so when I get married, what am I going to do? She was like, don't think too much about the future, like, think of it now. So my friends were really nice. They helped me through it. And male friends, they congratulated me. So overall, everyone was supportive.
Allah made it easy.
Yes, for sure.
And He gave you that support through all of these people as well.
Yeah, and my family, my dad was so happy. My mom was also very happy.
Yeah. I think it's great. I contemplate about it as well myself.
Yeah.
But then I'm just like, it's hard.
It is hard, for sure.
Yeah.
But like I said, like, for a believer, this world is supposed to be hard.
Yeah. That's the whole point. And the temptations that's the whole point.
Right. So my friend gave me this, like, every single time you wear the hijab and you go out, it's kind of like a little jihad, because you're doing this in the way of Allah. So, that those things always play in my head, and I was like, what, this is good. Like, if I die like this, it's good.
You're thinking about the bigger picture.
The bigger one, because I was like, at the end of the day, one day my Instagram is hacked or whatever, then what, Same thing, someone will delete all my videos anyway. So why am I even so worried?
So attached
to
everything.
I try very hard to always detach myself from all these worldly things, like material stuff, bag, shoes, Instagram, whatever. So it's a test, like I said, like a Muslim is musafir, they say, right? Traveler in this dunya, and he just has to go his main destination. That's what everyone should aim for.
That's the focus.
Exactly.
That should be. So you were from Pakistan.
Yes.
You're a Pakistani in UAE, and you're a content creator as well. How does your Desiness, your identity as a Pakistani, affect that? What is it like to be a Desi content creator in an Arab country?
It is a bit tricky, honestly.
Okay.
Because obviously it's an Arab country. The main language mainly is Arabic. So being a Pakistani, it can be a bit tricky. Although we have a lot of multinational, like there's a lot of different nationalities living here in Dubai, and I love that. It's a very multinational country. But once you get into any industry, you understand how it works. And mainly it's what's the word, like overpowered, or no, like the main people in charge are like Arabs, of course. So these CEOs or marketing managers and stuff like that. So in order to like make your mark over here, it took a while. So for example, a girl who has maybe, let's say, much lesser followers than me, but she's Arab and she speaks in Arabic, can get better opportunities than me, a person who's speaking in English, Urdu, but higher number of followers. So it can be a bit tricky, but you have to like really work hard, you know, to make your own mark here, make your place here, because obviously they want to reach the audience which is Arabic speaking as well, like Saudi, UAE, Emirati. But I feel like a lot of brands, they tend to forget that there are a lot of Indian Pakistanis who actually buy stuff as well. So they tend to think that maybe we're not going to buy stuff, but trust me, like they do. My followers are mainly Desis, of course, and it's because they love me, they're gonna buy whatever I promote or talk about because they trust me. So I think, you know, it really took me a while to start working with brands over here. I started working with international brands before I was able to work with brands from the UAE, because they just didn't really trust that whole follower thing. But eventually, alhamdulillah, once I made my own brand and my own stuff, I could show them also, like, look, these are my followers who buy. Like, I launched a perfume with another brand and my perfume sold out the first time, the first batch. So that really showed, you know, like, Desis do buy stuff. So alhamdulillah, but eventually I made my mark, got awards and stuff like that. So now they understand that. Now I feel like a lot of Desis do have a easier way, because now also Indian and Pakistani people are in charge in different positions, like marketing, influencer marketing. So they try to take people like them. Like I recently went to Thailand, and the person who took me to Thailand was a Pakistani. So she works in the company, so she knows that Pakistani power is like, you know, like it works. So alhamdulillah, now it's much better, but it took me a while. It took a lot of hard work to reach this moment.
And I think now, like, they've also realized, brands and agencies have realized that there's a huge Pakistani and Indian market in this country. You can't ignore them. It's a great population that is obviously buying either this or that. You can't sort of ignore them or pretend they're not there. There's such a huge market that can actually benefit you, and then you need the influencers and you need the people who they connect with.
Representation.
And most Arab influencers, they speak mostly in Arabic as well, so they don't even reach out to this market. So you can't say, okay, if there's an Arab influencer, they're reaching out to a Pakistani Indian market anyway, so it doesn't matter, like, you know, they're going to do that job for us as well. But they don't do that. Mostly they just, you know, continue to speak in Arabic. Which obviously makes space for you, you know, people like you, who can then reach out to Pakistani and Indian people. Because Pakistani Indian people can't even understand what they're saying.
Arabic,
and now with, I think, so many Europeans moving to UAE, the market is just gonna grow for everyone.
For sure.
Because again, they also can't understand Arabic.
So they need more people who speak English and cater to all these people.
And I've also noticed that lots and lots of like European influencers are also moving here. So many European and American, mostly European, like they're just like moving here because they're also like excited about, you know,
tax free,
this, that, and
safety. Although, but honestly, you know, we have to give this to Dubai and UAE in general, like the most safe country ever. Alhamdulillah. For girls, especially, you know how it is. I feel like the only reason I am the way I am, obviously my parents also let me do everything with so much freedom, is because I lived here. You know, so a lot of people, girls want to do stuff, but they can't because of the different countries they live in. And the parents, obviously, they have the right to be scared. Like, we can't let our daughter do this or that, whatever. But my parents were able to do it because I lived here in Dubai, and Dubai has given us, or UAE in general, has given us this safe space and so many rights for just women, which is amazing. And I don't think you find that anywhere else. Like one time my car got stuck in a place, and I was with my mom only, and we both are like women. Obviously, we're like in the situation, what to do. Called my dad, no one's answering. Brother not answering, so I called the police. He came in like 2 minutes and helped me get my car out so fast, so helpful. So I think these things can't happen anywhere in the world. They'll take you they won't take you seriously. They'll be like, okay, whatever, you know.
And that's why everybody says now, Habibi, come to Dubai.
Sure.
And now way too many people are coming to Dubai.
God, yeah. Guys, please don't come to Dubai. Thanks. It's full already.
We're good.
Yeah.
All right. Is there anything else that you want to talk about, Manal?
Let me think. I feel like for women, I have this thing I'm very passionate about. Like I'm a feminist, I would say, but not in that way. But because even I feel like our religion is the most feminist religion ever.
Yeah, super progressive.
I love it.
Yeah.
So the more I learn about it, the more I realize our religion has given us so many rights as women. So I honestly urge women to learn their own value through religion. You will know your religion has given you so much worth, and you are so valuable. It never stopped you from working, because Hazrat Khadija was a trader herself. Just try to learn, forget about the cultural and traditional toxic misogynistic things that they've instilled into you, and try to learn about yourself as a female, the values that our religion has taught us for women, because this will help you in the long run as a mother, as a wife to be, or if you're already a wife, learn about your rights, because these things are really important, and our parents also didn't know better. So this is your own duty. Like, you need to learn about this stuff.
Yeah, from what I learned about women from Islam was that Islam gave women a lot of rights.
For sure.
A lot of rights and less responsibility.
Oh, very less.
And what women like today tend to see is that, things that were not given to them as a responsibility, they're saying, hey, why am I not doing this?
Exactly.
Am I weak? And that's not the reason. No. In fact, it's that I feel like, when Allah Ta'ala decided to remove responsibility from women, the idea wasn't that they're weak or they can't. It's because, like even in Umrah, it's like they can just walk while men have to run, right? It's because when Allah Ta'ala made women and He sent women down, He already gave them a lot to deal with.
Exactly.
Their whole being comes with a lot that they have to go through, right? Men don't have that.
No.
Right? They come here and all their challenges are kind of external. All challenges that women have are within them. They are internal. And if we're going to start putting those external challenges on women as well, then that's not fair to them. And I think, and that's the thing, the balance between the feminine and masculine energy in this world is like upside down right now, right? Like, it's just that what we're doing is that, again, those responsibility, and I think that is why God wanted to protect women from these responsibilities, because He knew that once women started taking those upon themselves, nobody's going to look after them. They will be expected to perform in those areas as well. Right? Like, okay, fine, you want to take this responsibility, then do it. Right? Nobody's going to care what they're doing, what they're going through. Like, even like in Islam, I don't know how true this is, but I've heard this, that like even like when you're breastfeeding, it's such a difficult thing to do. It's so time consuming that if you want to take an allowance from your husband for doing it, it's true, then he's supposed to give it to you. So it's just that you have already been given so much you need to do, right? And if Allah imagine if Allah gave us all this other responsibility as well. No, we can't. As a female, I mean, think about your cycle. Every month, you're already going through this. Yes. I mean, you only have like 2 days which are good. Yeah. Otherwise, throughout the month, you're going through that emotional. And men would walk all over you then. Okay, this is your responsibility too. Do this too. And do that too. Like, so I feel like all the things that the rights and responsibilities that Allah Ta'ala gave us were not... His idea wasn't that women are weak. The idea was that women already have a lot, and they're very empowered already.
Exactly. And they are always gifted for every single thing that they're already like responsible for. For example, Islam doesn't even ask us as a wife to cook and clean.
Nothing.
No,
not even that.
Thing is, like, you just teach your children how to be better humans. So imagine if you're busy working and doing everything else, who's going to take care of the children, you know? So I feel like that's why Islam is like the only religion that's the closest to nature and very feminist,
very progressive as well. Yeah, and like there's so many little things in Islam, like we're not expected to perform household duties or literally do anything,
right?
Literally nothing. Like whenever I look into what women should be doing,
it's like nothing.
There's nothing there. It's all for like men, for men. Even when it comes to the hijab, actually.
Yeah.
So there's an incident where Prophet ﷺ, he was with one of his companions, and there was this woman who they came across while they were walking, and she was like, all dressed up, showing off and everything. So Hazur Sallam didn't ask her
to cover up.
Yeah. He asked him to lower his gaze. So from what I've heard, hijab is first applied to men, then applied to women. So in everything, even in hijab, it's applied to men first. Everything is like, no, the men have to do this. The men have to do that. Men have to do this. There's very few things that women are supposed to do, because it's all already in there, I mean, even before you get married, you're given like the mahr, which is like a gift for your wedding. You can ask for anything. There's literally no limit to it. But our society, the misogynistic one, because obviously rules are made by men, so they were like, you know what, why are women getting all of this? Let's change it up. But you can ask for even like whatever you want. You can ask for tons of gold, whatever. I mean, it's your right? So it's not because you're a gold digger. It's because this right was given to you as a gift. You know your value. This is why I said in Islam, women have a lot of value. So learn that, so that when you eventually get married or you're already a mother or whatever, you would know what to think of yourself. You're no less. You're like up there. And like, it's crazy. You know how you said you're just supposed to like teach your kids the right thing? Like, what an honor.
Exactly.
That's what Allah Ta'ala wanted us to do as women. And I think just the sad part in this entire thing, and it came from the West mainly,
for sure,
is that this is not of value. This doesn't have a lot of worths. But that's not true. You're bringing up a new generation. So because of you, another generation is going to be brought up, and that's why Jannat is in the feet of your mother. That is another honor. Like, come on. And then besides all this, it's not like if Allah Ta'ala didn't give us certain responsibilities, it's not like He's also stopped us from them. So we can go out and work. Right, if that's what we want. If we're looking for financial independence, we have been given that right. And so many others, like they're countless. And even little things like the fact that we as Muslim women, we are not supposed to take our husband's name. Which for some reason our society does. It actually came from the West. So the concept of Mrs. this and Mrs. that, it's not Islamic. It's not. So in Islam, the bloodline is the most important thing. Father. And your blood is like from your father. Even like sometimes they take their mom's name. Even that's okay. So, but not your husband, because it's not about who's paying the bills. It's about your lineage. And if you do end up taking your husband's name, it's like when you say like Mrs. your husband's name, it's like your own identity is gone. Like, where's you? Where's you? But in Islam, it's not that way. Because your identity is actually your bloodline, your lineage. So it's not about, your dad owns your identity. In this case, you're saying your husband is your identity, but in that case, you're not saying your dad is your identity. You're saying your identity is your DNA. It's who you are, your bloodline, your lineage. So it's just the way that all of this has been like misconstrued. Like even when it comes to hijab, which is seen as like a sign of oppression, while it's supposed to be like your free right, like whether you want to take it or not, again it's like between you and your faith and Allah. It's actually meant to protect women, not just in the way that it protects you from like men. Like it protects you from basically it protects you from a lot of issues that we see in the world today. So for example, like body image issues, or like beauty standards, or you know, all of these problems that we're having, these objectification, sexuality, and just the fact that, you know, when you're covered and when you
lose clothing,
everything, you are presenting yourself beyond beauty. You're saying, hey, I'm a person and I'm more than just the way I look.
Exactly.
And I have to be taken seriously for who I am, what my thoughts are, how qualified I am. So
not
basically,
the way I look.
Not the way I look. So it's essentially protecting the woman from being reduced to her
looks only. And her body, and
because that's what the world has now done, reduced women to, you know, objectifies them, reduce them to their sexuality or how the way that they look or the way that they behave.
Exactly.
And Islam purely protected you from that. Not from, like, you know, not oppressed you. Okay, no. तुम अपने आप को छुपाओ because, you know, the man can't keep it in his pants. It's not as silly as that.
I mean,
it's also a very big concept.
Exactly. That's how I feel as well. When I started wearing it, it's like I felt that I have this you know, authority who gets to see me. So now men outside, if I'm going, they don't see me that way because I haven't given this opportunity to them. So if I want to like beautify myself and then every other guy is looking at me, it's like that's also on me, right? That's my own. I'm giving them this authority. So now when I don't show them this, it makes me feel more empowered. It's like, you know, only I get to decide who gets to see me with my hair open or with my, you know, tight clothing or whatever. So that also at the end makes you feel empowered, and that's why, because our religion teaches us this. And this is why, like I said, I just want women to understand their value in terms of Islam, and you'll understand how valuable you are. You're not just like ghar ka kaam and saas ki dant sunna, like none of that, please. You know? Yeah. So that's the most important message.
I think that's a very beautiful thought, and I'm so glad you touched upon that, because clearly I had feelings about it too.
I love it.
Yeah. So thank you so much for coming, for doing this
so much fun.
Yeah, me too. I hope we can stay in touch. I hope I can have you over again at some point later. Sure. Yeah.
Definitely.
And I hope that you enjoyed it.
I did. I loved it so much. I didn't even feel the time pass, and it's been like 2 hours already. Wow.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of Happy Chirp. I hope that you guys learned something from it, enjoyed it, got to know a bit more about Manal. Her thoughts, I thought they were beautiful, they were wonderful. I could connect to her on so many levels. She has some wonderful things to share. I love the way you talk.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And yeah, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you again next time. Allah Hafiz.